it's Mims, and today we're going to be making coffee and walnut cake. So the first thing you're going to do is start off a sponge mix basically. So the first thing I do is weigh off my eggs. I'm using 4 eggs for this recipe. I've weighed them and they weigh 235 grams. So then what I've done is I've got 235 grams of soft butter, 235 grams of sugar, 235 grams of self-raising flour, and that's what we'll start off with. Then we're going to add some coffee and some ground walnuts and bake it in 2 baking tins that I've already lined. So when I was going to use the coffee, the one that I found works best is espresso powder, but I didn't have any. So I borrowed some coffee granules, such as these, and I've popped them in a Ziploc bag, and what I'm going to do is crush them with a rolling pin. I've got 30 grams here. That should be enough for the cake mixture and also the icing. So I've got them in a Ziploc bag, and I'm just going to smush them down. Hopefully this works. Let's see. It is working. Hopefully the bag doesn't work today. Right, we've got a fine powder, that'll do. If there's the odd lumpy bit, I'm sure it'll dissolve, so that's fine. Just popped it to the side. Now I'm going to get started with my sponge mixture. So I've got my butter here. I'm going to get that mixing. Okay, now I'm going to add my sugar that I've already weighed off. That's again the same weight as the eggs, which in this case is 235 grams. So I'm going to mix them together until they're nice and soft and nice light colour. So this is mixed really nicely. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. Now I'm going to pop half a teaspoon of vanilla extract in there. You don't need to do this, but I just think it's a nice addition. Okay. Then I'm going to pop my first egg in. Get that mixing. Now I'm going to pop some of my flour, just probably about a quarter of it in. Now I'll pop in my next egg, give it a mix, the next bit of flour, and so on until you've got all your eggs and flour in there and it's nicely incorporated. Thought I got a shell in then, but I didn't. Okay, this is a lovely mixture now. Oh, please don't drop. Let me. Yes. You can see. It's really nice, lovely and airy. So I'm going to pop in some coffee. What I'm going to do, just so that I've got a measurement of how much I'm putting in, is I'm going to get a teaspoon measure and I'm going to do about, I'm going to go with 2 tablespoons. We like coffee. No. Start off with 2 tablespoons, see how we get on. So this is what we're looking like after 2 tablespoons. I'm going to go with a bit more coffee. You can see a couple of specks where the grains of coffee were a bit bigger, or the grounds of coffee were a bit bigger, but I'm quite happy with that as a little pop. If you want a more uniform mixture, you can probably blitz it with a blender, or you could use the espresso powder. That would work quite nicely. Just to note, the instant espresso powder, not actual coffee that would go in a coffee machine. I'm going to put another tablespoon of coffee mixture in this. And on to mix. Now, I'm going to weigh how much ground almonds I use, just so I can put it in the recipe. Normally I completely eyeball it, but just so I can let you know. So, I didn't have any ground walnuts. Did I say almonds? I meant walnuts. I didn't have any ground walnuts. So I got some normal, just walnut halves and blitzed them. So that's what I'm working with, and then I'm going to have some of the whole walnut halves to put at the top to decorate. So I'm just going to weigh how many I'm using. I'm going to say it's probably going to be about a cup measure. It's all going in the same, so I can recycle or reuse the flour bowl. Put that there. Zero it off. Ooh. Yeah, that's 35 grams. That seems like a decent amount to me, so that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to pop it in and we'll go from there. And then I'm going to mix it up. Okay, so that seems like a good amount to me, so I'm keeping it as that. I will make sure I know what the amounts I've used. Just going to move this out of the way, move this out my way, and then I'm going to get my baking tins that I prepared earlier. I keep forgetting the word for baking tins. It shouldn't be this difficult. I'm just going to grab them. Here we are, so I'll get them out. Do one at a time. It's going to look a little like a sandwich cake, so like a Victoria sponge, but coffee with coffee in the middle and such. Right. I've taken my paddle. There we go, paddle out. Just because sometimes, this mix is quite good for that, but sometimes there's a little bit left at the side that's not combined well, so rather than getting another spoon dirty, I'm just going to use my paddle to just go around the edges, make sure everything's well combined. I haven't got a bit that's got more butter than anything else, or anything like it. Do not need to create more parts. Right. Now that it's mixed a bit more, it's getting a much darker coffee cake mixy colour. I suppose the grounds are instanting? No, that's not the word. Dissolving, mixing. They're like coffeeing. Like instant coffee would coffee with hot water, this is coffeeing with cake mixture. Coffeeing is definitely a verb. I just made it up. Right, let's put this on the side. Okay. Should probably not use a spoon, there's probably something better to do it with, but I'm going to use a spoon because it's already dirty. So that can go here there. I'll distribute the cake mixture in the baking tin when I know I've got about the same amount in each. Just to note, I have popped my oven to preheat at 180. I don't know if I mentioned it. So that is preheating, so these will be ready to go in. Don't fall down. Oh my god, no, I've got cake mixture down the side. It's really nice, really, really strong coffee flavour, which is great, because I like coffee. I'm going to need another spatula-y thing. You'll do. This I've mentioned before, I'm not very good at getting all the batter out. Oh my gosh, this is not sticking down. Oh man. Right. I'm going to fix this with butter. Stick this bad boy down. Right, you stick there. Stop flapping about and ruining my cake. There we go. Right, let's continue with the caking. An added bonus is that this instant coffee is decaf. So the kids love coffee flavour, but I'm not going to pump them full of coffee. They've got enough energy as it is. Apparently, coffee doesn't make you less tired. It just sends some sort of signal that makes you not realise that you're tired. So it doesn't wake you up, it just makes you less aware that you're tired. Something like that. That was quite interesting. I genuinely, for a long time, thought it gave you more energy, but it does not. I can't remember who told me that fact. But it is a fact. Don't know the exact things that it affects. Science. Science. Right, these are not even, so I'm going to have to pinch a little bit of mixture out the other one. That's all good. So good. Right, let's pinch a bit out of this one. Stop collapsing. Just spread it around the bottom. Even though greaseproof paper is really soft, obviously it's just paper, it can really affect the shape of your bake if it's all like folded in, even if just a little bit like that. It will affect how your cake comes out, which I've been shocked by quite a few times. I'm like, come on cake, can you just shove it out of the way with your cakey powerness? Apparently, cakey power is not so strong. Cakey power. You'll do, love. You'll do. Now spread this one. Get this out of the way. What you could do is you could weigh how much mixture you've got, and then make sure you put the equal amount in each. That would be a good way of doing it. It's not what I'm doing, but you could do that. This is how to make it more equal. Bosh. I mean, no one's going to come out with a measuring tape and measure each layer, are they? And if they do, they just can't have cake. It's their choice. Who they make enemies with. Oh love, you'll do, you'll do. This is so good. Let's bosh it on there, just because it's so lovely. Right, with very sticky fingers, let's see. Hey! The oven's at temperature, so I'll just pop it in for between 35 and 40 minutes. And in that time, I'm going to make the icing, so I'll be back. Hey, so we've got cake in the oven. Let's make the icing. So again, I'm going to be measuring stuff as I'm going, just because I normally wing it. So we'll go. It's not very useful, is it? If I'm like, hey, this is how I do it. So what you do is you completely wing it and see how that is. But that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to measure stuff. And then I'm going to write down what I've done. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Right, so we've got a bowl. I've got my balloon whisk, which I'm going to use for my icing. And then I'm going to pop in my soft butter. I'll keep my butter on the side so it's always soft. Now you probably want to use unsalted butter. However, I always use salted butter. I prefer the flavour, it lasts longer on the side and it makes no difference to your bakes. So maybe it does make a difference. Tastes good, it's fine. So I'm going with this much, which I'll find out how heavy it is. So 0 off my scales and pop 40 grams, but 42, we'll call it 40. 40 grams of butter, in this occasion salted. Maybe I just like the flavour of salted butter in my bakes. Maybe it genuinely makes a difference and I just don't know. Oh. And now I'm going to weigh off my icing sugar. I normally go with a lot. We'll see how much that is in actual numbers. And this goes messy and we'll all be covered in white fine sugary powder. Right. Anyway, 357. Let's call it 360. We'll go from there. Okay, and then I'm also going to add some of the coffee powder. So I'm going to pop my balloon whisk on. Are you on? Yes, you are. I'm going to go with a tablespoon. I'm going to have to re-watch this so I can write down all the amounts, so we'll not remember otherwise. Okay, that looks about right. As you can see, it's a super exact science. Oh man. Now I'm going to add a tablespoon of milk. Now I'm going to do a teaspoon of milk. Now the reason I do it like this is because I always just do it by eye and just go from there. I tried reusing recipes, but then I'd not have enough potentially, and then I'd need to add a bit more butter and icing sugar anyway, or I'd have too much and then I've got lots of spare icing. So I needed to fiddle with it anyway, so I just thought, you know what, let's just do it by eye, because you kind of know what you want from like a icing buttercream anyway. So I'll go by that. This is a little bit too powdery, so I'm just going to add a little bit of more butter, but I'll measure how much I put in. So let me take it off so I can weigh how much I'm actually putting in there. So 20 grams, so we're up to 60 grams of butter. Now that's starting to come together a lot better, so I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of milk with that. I'm going to add a little bit more butter. This is a very long-winded way, however, you won't have that element because you'll know the amounts. This is a lovely buttercream. So I checked back, and I believe we ended up with 85 grams of butter, and then it ended up being about 6 teaspoons of milk, which I'll convert to tablespoons because obviously that'll be easier. It's probably like 1.5 tablespoons, something like that. It's a really nice mix, so I'll just show it you now. Okay, so this is your buttercream. Ah, hope that focuses. It's very nice. Very nice. So I'm going to pop it in a piping bag because it'll be easier to just get out in between the layers of the cake that way. So I'll just do that now. Just grab a pint glass. What I do is I'll just pop it in here and then fill it with that, and it's just easier. But yeah, with icing, I put in as much icing sugar as I want to use, and then I top up the butter until it's the right consistency. There's probably a key, there's probably like a ratio of how much you should use to get the right mixture. I just don't know it, honestly. I just completely do it by eye and just go from there. It's not the best way to show you, but hopefully it's not look too confusing. Now, no, I was questioning whether to do this or not, whether to just get it all out of the bowl, but it is going to be a bit of a faff, and if the cake's a little bit delicate, then I could potentially end up breaking it trying to cover the top. So I'm just going to get all my icing in a piping bag. There we go. It's a lovely consistency. Sorry. You know the walnuts I chopped up earlier? I have quite a few left over, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle them on top. Now, you don't have to do this. If you have some left over and you want to do that, that's a good way of using them up. Hello. I have visitors. You going to try some cake? Icing?
Yeah.
There you go. Do you like it? Right. This is clean, I believe. Let's just get another one just in case. No, not that one. Let's get this one. Just gonna close the door. Ooh, it's just a pop of really strong coffee then. That is so good. I really like that. Someone else may not, but I drink black espresso all the time. So for me, this is delicious. Really like pop of really strong coffee flavour. Someone else might not think the same. Just want to not use the licked finger. Oh, I could just wash my hands, that works. I think I've got all of it out, near enough. That'll do, I'm sure it'll be fine. Now the bit at the top, it's going to be a very, very thin layer just so I can stick the walnuts and the more walnuts, like the crumbled up ones and the whole ones on top. I just don't want them to not be stuck. So it's just going to be a really thin spread on top. It's going to be like the big, chunky, buttercreamy loveliness in the middle. Right, I'm going to get these to wash. I'm going to have a little bit of a tidy up while the cake finishes baking. See you soon. Hey! So the cake's come out the oven. It's super, super hot. It's on a cooling rack, but obviously it's not going to cool so well while it's in this tin. So I'm just going to grab a tin. Any tinned good will do. Just pop it down. This is one of the ones that pops out the bottom. Just take it out. Probably, you know, actual names for these things. There we go. just so it cools a little bit faster. Because I want cake. Let's put this one here, the same. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for them to cool before I can decorate, because otherwise it will make a mess of your buttercream. So patience. Back soon. Hi, so my cakes have cooled, so I'm just going to assemble them. Now, I'm using the top of a tub of sweets. The reason for that is that I'm going to assemble my cake at the bottom of it, and then I can use the lid as a cover, and then ta-da, cake box. I've got my chilled cakes. There we go. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to take the edges off. Right. You can go here, my darling. Then I've got that one there, just I'm going to take its wrapper off. Right, so now I'm going to put my coffee icing on it. Still soft, so that's all good. Just going to snip the bottom. Snip, snip. This is probably a little bit too firm, but all I want to do is just do little dollops so I'm not spreading a big old lump of icing all over it. So. Maybe there was no point in this because I'm making a right mess of it. It's fine though, it's all good. It's all good. Now here is where I'm really not very good at making things look pretty. Right, one spoon just to level it off. I try to avoid really big chunky bits of icing on the edges, because when you put the lid on, the top half of your cake, you don't want to have it all split out on the edge too much, so just that'll do. Now I am glad I still used the piping bag because I feel like otherwise I would have been dragging it too much. Although the cake is nicely cool, so it is okay. Don't lick it, stop it. Right, there we go. Here's the other half. I'm just taking the greaseproof off. And any bits that are stuck up from the edge of the greaseproof. Let's try and make it level. Are you level? Looks about right to me. Now, all I want is, how should we do this? No, I think I want a nice thin layer over the whole lot, so I'm just going to put some on the edges, just to make it easier to spread. I dread to think how much sugar I've eaten in, like, oh, I just lick what's left of this on this spoon before it goes in the sink. Oh man, it's messy. I'm really not very good at making things look pretty. I'd love to be. You know, some people that's just so good at like sugar work and they just make everything look so pretty. I'm just not one of those people. I'm not very good at it. Can make it taste good. Probably won't look pretty. I think once I've done a cake that I've been really impressed with how pretty it looked. I made a Minecraft cake for my and it looked pretty good. When the world goes back to normal, maybe that's something I'd like to do, a little cake decorating course or something. That would be good. Right, I'm gonna get my crumbled up walnuts, and I'm gonna sprinkle them on. It's pretty now. Ooh. We have company. Right, now I'm going to use my walnut halves to decorate. Put one in the middle. One here. These aren't very complete walnut halves. That's not helping me, is it? Got faulty equipment. That'll do. You can have that bit attached to you. You're a faulty one. Oh man. Right, let's have a look. Let's give you this. Bosh. I might use my halves, quarters, hey, there we go, not halves, to go in between. Hey, I'm happy with this. Righty, so here we have it. Oh, you are. Geez, this is heavy. Oh, there we go. Here's our coffee and walnut cake. Wonder, don't want to tip it too far. Oh, that'll be comedic. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to see more bake-alongs. Bye.